Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, November the 9th. We got a little 3-game slate today, guys, so it's going to be somewhat of a short video, but we're going to go game by game like we always do. We're going to talk through each game on today's 3-game slate, break down each team, and give you guys kind of my early thoughts, what does stand out to me at first look on Monday night. Then as we do go through each game, we'll kind of build out an early core, 4 or 5 guys that do stand out to me at first look. Now, as always, guys, these are, again, this is my first look at the slate. The core that I give out in the video, the plays that I recommend in this video, these guys are not guaranteed to be in my lineup. As we saw yesterday, I made my video for Monday slate. I made it Sunday night. Monday afternoon, we get news that Joel Embiid gets ruled out, and that just completely changes everything, changes the whole slate. We're going to get news like that a lot this NBA season. It just always happens every year. So I do provide more updated content on Patreon. If you want to check out my full updated core plays after news comes out, you want to see my full thoughts on the slate, updated core plays, you want to get in our Discord chat, see my rankings, my top 20 plays of the day, guys I have the most interest in, who I consider the best value plays, my favorite studs, the best mid-range options. I rank them in order from interest, top 20. You can check that all out on Patreon, guys, if you are interested. Link down below in the description. Also, check out the sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. They are also linked down below in the description if you guys want to check out Prize Picks. They're more of a player prop-based DFS site, so you're not going to really, build lineups or have to compete against other players. It's basically just you versus their projections. So they don't have too much listed right now for Tuesday's games, but I'm sure, early Tuesday morning they'll get some more stuff posted. But they have point projection, rebound projection, assists, three-pointers made. They also do fantasy point projections as well. You can take basically the over or the under. NBA is definitely a sport where you can make a good amount of money on Prize Picks, because a lot of times when you see the news come out during the day, when guys get ruled out randomly, you can just go over to Prize Picks and bet the overs on the players that benefit with when someone gets ruled out. And if you're really quick, if you have alerts on your phone, if you get the news quickly, or as it comes out, you can beat Prize Picks, because they will obviously take guys off. Let's say by some chance like Paul George gets ruled out. Obviously guys like Reggie Jackson, Eric Bledsoe, these guys would benefit. You would go and take the over, over on their points, over on their fantasy points before Prize Picks can take them off the board. It's an easy way to make money. I've been able to make a lot of money in NBA on Prize Picks. I know a lot of you guys have been able to make a lot of money on Prize Picks as well. So if you are new and you haven't checked out Prize Picks yet, you want to see what they have to offer, sign up, use promo code Noah. When you do check out Prize Picks, they will match your first deposit up to $100. Basically, they will give you a free bet. They'll double your first deposit up to $100. But yeah, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's go ahead and take a look at Tuesday's slate. We're going to start off with the Bucks and Sixers game. And this is a very interesting one. We got two pretty injury-depleted teams. Both these teams are not at full strength right now. For the Bucks, we'll start off with them. Chris Middleton remains out. Brook Lopez, Dante DiVincenzo remain out as well. So we're going to continue to see Giannis dominate the usage on this team. Now, Jrue Holiday is back, and Jrue Holiday, is basically back to his normal self. He played 30 minutes last game. He moved back into the starting lineup last game. So, with Jrue Holiday back, that hurts Giannis a little bit, but not enough to where Giannis, is out of play or anything. Giannis is still a top play, especially on a 3-game slate. It's going to be really hard to not have interest in Giannis here. The only issue is that we don't have a ton of great value today. There's not a lot of guys in the 4K, 3K range that I love. So paying up for Giannis may be a bit tough, but he's definitely going to be the top projected play on the slate. He's expensive, but he's obviously worth it. He's got massive upside. He stuffed the stat sheet. I do worry a bit about blowout here. This Sixers team right now is just super, super depleted. I do worry a bit if they can keep this game close, especially on a back-to-back. But if Giannis plays his full minutes, he's got a ton of upside here. With no Ben Simmons, with no Joel Embiid, the Sixers are going to have no answer for Giannis. I don't know who they're going to put on him defensively, whether it's Andre Drummond, whether it's Danny Green, Paul Reed. They don't have anybody available. Matisse Thybulle is one of their best defenders, and he's out right now, or at least I think he's going to be out for this game. He should continue to be out. So it's a great spot for Giannis. He's definitely a top play today. It's just a matter of, if you can fit him in or not. Then you got Jrue Holiday at 6,400. I think Drew's a really good play too. He did start last game, moved back into the starting lineup, and played 30 minutes. Was not that productive, only had 28 DK points, but without Chris Middleton, there is going to be more opportunity available for Jrue Holiday, and I think his minutes are just going to continue to go up as he just gets more playing time as he returns from his injury. He should get back to probably somewhat normal minutes today. I think 32 to 34 minutes is pretty likely here for Jrue, and at 6,400, that might be a little bit too cheap for him with Chris Middleton out. So I do have interest in Drew as a mid-range guard. And then Bobby Portis, 5,400. Price tag came up a good amount, but Bobby Portis is probably one of the better options in the 5K range today. He did play 31 minutes last game against the Wizards. He did move into the starting lineup. And I have been saying it, like I thought at some point Bobby Portis would move into the starting lineup, because with Brook Lopez out, normally whenever Lopez is out, Bobby Portis is the guy that replaces Lopez. Whenever Bobby Portis came back from injury, they brought him off the bench for like 5 or 6 games. But the last game, they finally moved him into the starting lineup over Thanasis, and he played 31 minutes, was super productive, had 45 DK points. Bobby Portis is a point-per-minute player. He's a guy that can be very productive when he gets minutes. If we expect him to start again and play around 30 minutes, he's going to project really well at 5,400, even though the price tag came up. I think Bobby Portis is still a really good play today. Like him a lot on DK, like him a lot on Yahoo as well. It sucks that he's a center on Yahoo because, we got Andre Drummond, who looks like a top play once again today, but Bobby Portis does stand out as a very strong play on Yahoo as well. Very good value. Then the rest of the Bucks, not a ton of interest in these guys, but, Grayson Allen, 5,100 I think is fine. Grayson Allen, these last 2 games, he's been good, 38, 32 DraftKings points, but normally he's not a player that I really ever pay 5,100 for. He could go for 30, 35 DK points and be a good play at his price point, but with Drew back, I'm just not that high on Grayson Allen. He's a pretty score-independent player. He luck boxed into 4 steals last game. He's shot in really well these last 2 games. Like, these performances have felt a little fluky for Grayson Allen. I'm just not going to go there. I think he's a little bit overpriced for what his ceiling is, to be honest with you. Pat Connaughton's going to continue to play close to 30 minutes off the bench. He's going to be a stable part of their rotation. He's only 4,200. We don't have a ton of standout value today. So I think Pat Connaughton is viable. Don't love him, but I think he's in play. Jordan Nwora, his minutes have really gotten cut with Drew back, so not much interest in him. George Hill did still start last game, even though they started Drew. They also started George Hill alongside Drew, and George Hill did play 33 minutes now. He was not productive at all. He only had 9 DraftKings points. But I think if George Hill continues to start, for only 3,600, he's fine as a cheap punt option. I don't have a ton of interest in, or a ton of confidence in George Hill. I don't know if he really has much of a ceiling. But if you're really desperate for value, if you're really trying to build like a Stars and Scrubs lineup, which I don't know if it's going to work today, but if you are trying to do that, if you want to pay up for multiple studs, you're going to have to probably look to someone like George Hill. If he does start, he probably plays around 30 minutes. He's only 3,600. He's an okay value play, although I think his ceiling, is not really that high. Don't know if he's someone, especially if he's going to be really chalky. He's just someone I wouldn't play if he's going to be really popular. But we'll have to wait and see, what the ownership looks like on George Hill. But that's really it for the Bucks. Mainly, Giannis, Drew Holiday, Bobby Portis are the standout plays here. But I think Pat Connaughton's fine for value. I think George Hill's fine for value. I'm probably off of Grayson Allen, and that's really it for Milwaukee. Now on the Philly side, we know, this team is going to remain injury depleted. Joel Embiid is going to be out once again Tuesday. They rested him for Monday's game, but then we did get word that he is entering the health and safety protocols. So he's going to be out this game as well, and I think he's going to be out a few more games after this. So the Sixers are basically going to be without their best players. No Joel Embiid, no Tobias Harris, no Ben Simmons. We saw, Monday night how their rotation kind of looked, how the minutes were get shifted away or shifted out, I should say, between, all their starters. And really all their starters played a ton of minutes. Andre Drummond played massive minutes Monday night. He was a top play on Monday's slate after, Embiid got ruled out. He was massively owned, and he obviously was someone that you had to have. Played 38 minutes, scored 51 DraftKings points. Now, DraftKings did actually do a good job. They priced him up to 7,700 today. So I don't think Drummond's like a free square like he was on Monday, but he's still a really good play in my opinion. He's still going to play massive minutes just because they have nobody else. I expect Drummond to play 32, 34 minutes if it's a close game. He's going to stuff the stat sheet like he always does. He's a really productive player when he gets minutes. So far this season, he's played 140 minutes without Tobias Harris or Joel Embiid on the floor. Has a 20% usage rate, has averaged 1.38 fantasy points per minute. So if you expect him to play, 32, 34 minutes, he's probably going to project for, 40, 45 DK points, somewhere around there, which is still really good at 7,700. So even with the price tag coming up, I still think Drummond's a really good option today. I like him a lot on Yahoo as well. Again, Bobby Portis is center only on Yahoo, so it kind of sucks. You're going to have to use your center and your util spot on these two guys, but I think these are two of definitely the best center plays for sure, Bobby Portis and Andre Drummond. So I do like Drummond a lot on Yahoo as well. Price tag went up there, but $30 probably still too cheap for Andre Drummond. And then, Tyrese Maxey just continues to get massive minutes. He played 39 minutes Monday night. He's played massive minutes in like 4 straight games, 37, 45, 44, 39 minutes. Like Doc Rivers has shown that he will just run Tyrese Maxey in the ground. I'm expecting Maxey to play probably close to 40 minutes today at 6,200. Like I think Maxey's a really good play just because of how many minutes he's getting, and obviously without Joel Embiid, there's gonna be more usage to go around. There's gonna be more shots available for a lot of these guys. Maxey should benefit. Curry should, like all these guys are gonna benefit without Embiid because Embiid's such a high usage player. So Maxey at 6,200, I do like quite a bit. I like him a lot on Yahoo too. Over there, only $19. I think he really stands out as a strong play on Yahoo. Price tag didn't move. Then Seth Curry. Not as high on Seth Curry, but he's going to play a ton of minutes. Played 41 minutes Monday. He's going to get, a lot of shots up. He's kind of scoring dependent, but for 5,900, I don't mind him. I would prefer Maxey, though, straight up. Now, Shake Milton's the one guy I might be off of. We talked about it in the live stream. After it was announced that Shake Milton was not starting, that they went with Danny Green. So they started Monday. They started Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, Furkan Korkmaz, Danny Green, and Drummond. So Milton went back to the bench with Danny Green moving into the starting lineup Monday, and Milton only played 22 minutes. I talked about it in the stream. With Milton going to the bench, that definitely made me a little bit worrisome about his minutes. They still ran an 8-man rotation, so I thought there was definitely a possibility that Milton would get like 26, 28 minutes. He only played 22 minutes. It's going to be tough to pay $5,200 for him if he doesn't start, and he only gets like low to mid-20s minutes. So I'm kind of off of Milton. Korkmaz, though, did start, and he played massive minutes, 40 minutes for Korkmaz. I don't know if Korkmaz plays 40 minutes again. He's normally not a player I like to roster because he is super scoring dependent. He's really not going to get many rebounds. He's not going to get many assists. You're going to need him to make his shots, but he is a pretty good shooter. There's going to be plenty of opportunity for him to get shots up, with Joel Embiid off the floor. So if Korkmaz is going to play massive minutes, for 4,900, I think he's still fine. He's probably not my favorite play from the Sixers. I would put Drummond and Maxey ahead of him, but I think Korkmaz is still in play. Niang, I'm kind of off of. Niang's going to keep coming off the bench. He's going to get around 25, 30 minutes, but at 4,700, he feels priced about right, in my opinion. Danny Green for 4,200, I think is a decent value play. He played 30 minutes, 23 DK points. Danny Green's not really a productive player. He's not a guy you expect to be productive when he's on the floor. But without Embiid, there's going to be some opportunity for Danny Green as well. He did take 9 shots in Monday's game, which I think, that's the most he's taken in any game this season. He took 8 threes. So Danny Green's going to have the opportunity to get some shots up. Obviously, he's kind of scoring dependent. You're going to need him to make some of those shots. But for 4,200, if he plays 30 minutes, he's going to project as a decent value play. So I don't mind Danny Green. He might be like my 4th favorite play from the Sixers. And then that's probably it. Paul Reed was in the rotation, but only played 5 minutes. He barely played. Like, I would think Paul Reed gets more than 5 minutes today, especially since it's a back-to-back. Maybe they don't play Drummond as many minutes as they did Monday. But 3,300, I don't think I'm going to go to Paul Reed unless by some chance they move him back into the starting lineup. We're definitely going to need to keep an eye on the Sixers starting lineup to see if it's the same as what it was Monday. Maybe in a matchup against Giannis, maybe they change things up here. Maybe they start Paul Reed, but if it's the same starting lineup as it was Monday, I think Maxey and Drummond are probably my 2 favorite plays for sure. And then Curry's viable, Korkmaz is viable, Milton, Niang, I'm not that high on. I think Danny Green's in play for value, and then Paul Reed I'm kind of off of too. And that's really it from the Sixers. That's everyone that's going to play. Bassey's been active, but he hasn't been in the rotation. Springer, I think, has been active, but he hasn't been in the rotation. They've only been playing 8 guys. So I'm assuming they continue to just run an 8-man rotation once again. Could they play some more guys today because it's a back-to-back? I guess they could, but they haven't shown any incline to give anyone else minutes. So I'm expecting another 8-man rotation for the Sixers. So there is a good amount to like here, since they're only playing 8 guys right now. But that's it for this game. We can move on to the next one, talk about Atlanta and Utah. So this is one I really just don't have that much interest in. This is definitely the least appealing game on the slate, in my opinion. Atlanta, on this slate, everyone on the Atlanta just feels priced about right. It's a back-to-back for Atlanta, so keep an eye on that. On a back-to-back, could we see some guys get ruled out here? It's possible. I know John Collins has been dealing with an injury lately, so maybe they sit him on the back-to-back here. But if everyone's playing for Atlanta, where they're priced, there's no standout plays. Trae Young on a 3-game slate, obviously you can play Trae Young. Clint Capella on a 3-game slate, you can obviously play Clint Capella. I will say that in this type of matchup against Rudy Gobert, I feel like they're going to have Capella out there. And last time these teams did play, Clint Capella did play 36 minutes. they're going to need his size against Rudy Gobert. Now, the matchup against Gobert may not be ideal, but I think Capella does play a ton of minutes. For 7,100, he might be my favorite play from Atlanta if I had to play anyone here. Collins is fine. Bogdanovich, Hunter, Cam Reddish, like I just don't really like these guys that much. One of these guys could get hot off the bench. Like we've seen Reddish show some upside. We've seen Herter show a little bit of upside. But for the most part, these guys are just going to be splitting the minutes. You're probably going to get like 20 minutes from Herter, 20 minutes from Reddish. Could they play more? They absolutely could. If they're knocking down shots, if they get hot, like they're guys who could play in like a large field tournament. But as like standout options, there's really no standout options from this Atlanta team. Bad matchup, on a back-to-back. I just don't really like much here from Atlanta. And on the Utah side, this is another team, like when they're fully healthy, I just rarely play these Utah guys. And on this slate, I know it's only 3 games, but like everyone on Utah feels priced about right to where I don't think there's any standout options here. Again, on a 3-game slate, you can play Donovan Mitchell. You can play Rudy Gobert. These guys are obviously viable. But if I'm playing one lineup today, like I don't think I'm going to roster anyone in this game, to be honest with you. At least not right now. We'll have to wait and see like if we get any injury news. But Mitchell at 9,100 I think is fine. I would prefer Giannis. I'd prefer like Paul George. I prefer Dame, I think. I'd prefer CJ McCollum. Like there's just other guys I would rather go to in better game environments. I think the Portland-LA game is a lot more appealing than this one. Should be faster paced, should be higher scoring. Mitchell, though, has been better lately. He did kind of really struggle to start the season, but we've kind of seen some upside from Mitchell these last few games. Does have 2 out of his last 3 games with over 50 DraftKings points. He didn't play against Atlanta. I thought he played against Atlanta recently, but he didn't play against Atlanta. But again, he's done well lately. Looked a lot better. For 9,100, he's fine. Rudy Gobert at almost 9K. Feels priced about right. I don't think I really want to pay almost 9K for Rudy Gobert, but he has shown plenty of upside this year. He's rebounding at an absurd rate, averaging over 16 rebounds per game this season. Gobert's playable. Mike Conley, I don't love it, his price tag. Same with Bogdanovich and Clarkson and Ingles. I think Royce O'Neal actually might be my favorite play from Utah, just kind of looking for value. Royce O'Neal has been playing pretty well lately. He has scored over 30 DraftKings points in 2 straight games. He's played 32 and 34 minutes. We know Royce O'Neal's going to get the minutes. He's played at least 30 minutes in almost every game this season. He's not normally a guy you expect to be very productive, but if he plays 32, 34 minutes, I mean, you could get like 25, 30 DraftKings points here. Now, Royce O'Neal, for him to put up a big game, you're going to need him to luck box into, 3 or 4 steals, or he's going to have to knock down a couple threes. He's kind of like Danny Green, but just a little bit better, I would say. So, Royce O'Neal at 4,400. I think it's a fine value play on a short slate like this where we don't have a ton of, standout value. But that's mostly it for Utah. Whiteside, maybe on a 3-game slate you could go to. Like, Whiteside could be like a slate breaker. If something happens to Rudy Gobert, like Gobert maybe gets injured or Gobert gets in foul trouble, like you could see Whiteside just be like a guy that breaks the slate. But for the most part, Whiteside's only going to play, 13, 15 minutes. Obviously, Gobert's going to play a ton of minutes. But if you do get lucky and Gobert gets in foul trouble or something, I mean, Whiteside is someone that could win you the slate, but I don't think I'd be doing that personally, unless you're playing like a lot of lineups in like a large field GPP. But that's it for this game. We'll talk about the last one on the night, Portland and LA. So on the Portland side, you got Dame at 9,200. I think Dame is firmly in play today. I've kind of been off of Dame this season. I've just kind of been like staying away from him until we see him have a good game. He's been a little bit better lately. We still haven't seen him put up more than, he hasn't put up 50 DK points yet this season, but we know Dame has the upside to put up 50 DK points. We know when the shot starts falling, he can put up a massive, massive game. I will say that on this slate, I prefer guys like Giannis and Paul George, even maybe CJ McCollum for, $2,000 cheaper I'd rather go to. But Dame's firmly in play. I would definitely prefer Dame, I think, over Donovan Mitchell and over Trae Young. So if you want to, play him over those guys, I think that's fine. Yusuf Nurkic is 7,400. Another guy that's definitely in play. I would prefer Drummond over Nurkic. I think Drummond's just a better play overall. I think Drummond plays more minutes than Nurkic, but Nurkic has shown plenty of upside. I will say that Nurkic's minutes this year have not been really that high. He has yet to play more than 30 minutes this season, but he has shown upside. I mean, he went for 46 DK points last game against the Lakers in only 22 minutes. He's a really good point per minute player. Against the Clippers, I think this is a pretty favorable matchup for Nurkic. He did go for 45 DK points in only 23 minutes against them last time they played. So if you want to look into that, he also really struggled when they played. The time before that, he had 15 DK points. But I do think this is a pretty good matchup for Nurkic. He's a tournament play. I would prefer Drummond straight up, but Nurkic is definitely viable. CJ McCollum, though, I do like a lot. 7,200 on DraftKings, I think, is probably too cheap for CJ McCollum. I like him a lot on Yahoo, too. I think at $31, he does stand out as probably one of the best shooting guard options. If you wanted to go to Donovan Mitchell, you could. But I definitely like McCollum on Yahoo, too. I'm not really a McCollum guy. Rarely do I play CJ McCollum. But on a 3-game slate like this, where we don't really have a ton of options to work with, our player pool is pretty limited for the most part. 7,200 for CJ McCollum is probably too cheap. His price tag was he was over 8K, 2 games ago, and now he's down to 7,200. He's going to play massive minutes. He's going to probably play 36 to 40 minutes if it's a close game. We know CJ has some upside. He can do a little bit of everything. He's kind of scoring dependent, but he'll chip in with 5 or 6 rebounds to give you some assists. He will get some time on the floor without Damian Lillard. Like, he's basically, whenever Lillard's not on the floor, whenever Lillard has to come out for rest, they always bring McCollum in. So McCollum will get some time whenever Lillard's on the bench, and he's usually a lot more productive in those minutes. In a good matchup, or at least what should be a fast-paced game. I don't want to say good matchup because the Clippers are a pretty good defensive team, but the Clippers have been playing at a top 10 pace this season. They are 6th in pace. The Blazers are 9th in pace. So both these teams are playing at a top 10 pace this season. I think this will be a fast-paced, pretty high-scoring game. Definitely like CJ McCollum. And I do like Norman Powell as well at 5,200. Norman Powell continues to start, continues to play around 30 to 32 minutes a night. He's a guy that's going to be, it's going to be tough to predict, what you get from him on a nightly basis. Most nights he's going to give you 25, 28 DK points, but randomly you'll see Norman Powell put up big games where he goes for 35, 40 DK points when his shots fall in. Really, you're just kind of playing him for the minutes, and probably because the price tag is still a little bit too low. Like, I think 5,200 is probably still too cheap for Norman Powell when he's getting 32 minutes a night. So I do like him as a mid-range small forward. I like him on Yahoo too. You can play him over there, $21. I think him and Paul George are my 2 favorite small forward plays for sure on Yahoo. So I like Norman Powell. I like CJ McCollum. Nurkic and Dame are obviously in play too. And then we'll mention a couple more guys. Robert Covington, 4,300. I never play Robert Covington. I don't think I've played Robert Covington this season. But on a 3-game slate, Robert Covington's going to play 30 to 32 minutes. He's only 4,300. He's actually been pretty productive these last few games, 26, 28 DK points. If you get 25, 26 DK points from Robert Covington today, like, you could see him be a winning, like, he could be in the winning lineup if he does that, because, there's just not going to be a ton of value plays that really go off. So I think 4,300 for Robert Covington on this type of slate is definitely viable. And then the last guy, Anthony Simons, going to play 22, 24 minutes off the bench. It's tough to predict what you're going to get from Anthony Simons, but for 3,800, if you really need a punt play, between him and George Hill, like, I probably would rather roster Simons. I think Simons just gives you more upside. So I think Simons is someone you could use if you're trying to build like a stars and scrubs lineup. Normally, I would never play Anthony Simons, but again, 3-game slate, not a ton of options. He's for sure, in play today. But that's it for the Portland side. Now, looking at the Clippers, Paul George, top option here, 10,500. Paul George, any slate he's on, he's going to be in play, and especially on this one with only 3 games with a limited player pool. I will say that straight up, I would rather play Giannis over Paul George. I think Giannis is just a better play overall. I think he projects better. But Paul George is definitely viable. He's going to continue to get a ton of opportunity, going to continue to dominate the usage for this Clippers team while Kawhi Leonard is out. He's going to play massive minutes as well on a nightly basis. The matchup against Portland is really, really good. Portland not been that great defensively this year. They've been playing fast. So far through 2 games against Portland, Paul George in a blowout only had 39 DK points, but then last time they played, 34 minutes, 60 DraftKings points from Paul George. He definitely has a big ceiling. I think Giannis' ceiling is a little bit higher, but Paul George is a good pay-up option. He's probably my 2nd favorite stud behind Giannis on this slate. Reggie Jackson is a mid-range guard. I think is fine. Reggie Jackson's kind of scoring dependent. He's going to have to really get hot in order to put up a massive game, but we've seen, when his shots fall in, he can go for 45, 50 DK points. I probably would rather play Drew Holiday, but Reggie Jackson's viable on a short slate like this. Zubac's minutes have been really secure lately. His minutes have kind of been trending up. 34, 31, and 28 minutes the last 3 games. Even with Serge Ibaka back last game, they still played Zubac a lot. They played him 28 minutes. Against Portland, like, I would think they're going to need him out there to guard Nurkic. He did play 25 minutes and 22 minutes the last times, or the 2 times these teams played. So I think we can expect like 26, 28 minutes from Zubac today at 5,300. It's tough to roster him on this slate because I think there's some other center plays I prefer, like Andre Drummond, Bobby Portis. But if you want to go to Zubac, I think he will be somewhat low owned at 5,300. He definitely is a good center option. And then a couple more guys real quickly. Nicholas Batum, 5,200. Batum continues to start Going to continue to play around 30, 32 minutes while Marcus Morris is out. Normally not a guy that I would really say has much upside, but he's actually been producing really well lately. At least 26 DraftKings points in 4 straight games. He's got 30 DK points in 3 of his last 4 games. 5,200, he feels priced about right. I don't love Batum at this price point, but if he's going to continue to get 32 minutes a night in a good matchup against Portland, there's definitely some opportunity for Batum to pay off this price. So he's viable on a short slate like this. Same with Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann going to play around 30 minutes off the bench. Another guy that I think feels priced about right for what we can expect from him, but he's shown somewhat of a ceiling. He can definitely put up 30, 35 DK points, so he's fine too. Luke Kennard, though, I'm probably not going to go to. His minutes have fluctuated a little bit. He's going to get like 25, 26 minutes off the bench. He's very scoring dependent. He's going to have to knock down shots to really put up a ceiling game, but if he gets hot, you could definitely get a 25, 30 DK point game from Luke Kennard, which would be solid at 4,500. I don't love him, though. Bledsoe, his minutes have really been trending down, so it's kind of tough to go to Bledsoe on this slate. 4,300 is really cheap. We saw him be priced in the 6K range to start the season. Now he's only 4,300. But with the minutes trending down like they have been, I just don't have that much confidence in Bledsoe right now. Worth a dart throw, though. Like, if you're playing a ton of lineups, obviously, put Eric Bledsoe in your player pool. But if I was playing, like, one lineup today, I don't think Eric Bledsoe would, make my one lineup. And then Ibaka, he returned last game but only played 8 minutes, so don't really want to go to Ibaka. And I think that's it for the Clippers, and I think that's it for all 3 games today, guys. So appreciate you watching. Hopefully I was able to break down these 3 games, in depth and give you guys kind of my full thoughts on this slate at first look, what stands out to me. If you guys enjoyed the video, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Check out the sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. Sign up for Prize Picks. Check out everything they have to offer. Make some picks for tonight's game. Check out their board. See what's available. And if you do sign up, be sure to use promo code NOAH when you sign up for Prize Picks. They'll match your first deposit, give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with code NOAH. But good luck tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Good luck, guys. Peace.